bed pass, so at night we don't have to wake them up. For example, actually today in report, we had a resident who just moved in and he requested he wants a couple of his meds given at 1 a.m. in the morning. So that's his request. We'll meet that and do that for him at 1 a.m. in the morning. But if they don't want to be woke up at night to take their medication and they don't need med pass, so at night we don't have to wake them up. For example, actually today in report, we had a resident who just moved in and he requested he wants a couple of his meds given at 1 a.m. in the morning. So that's his request. We'll meet that and do that for him at 1 a.m. in the morning. But if they don't want to be woke up at night to take their medication and they don't need that and do that for him at 1 a.m. in the morning. But if they don't want to be woke up at night to take their medication and they don't need it, we're not going to do that, of course. We also we'll talk about some of the products to sleep longer. Yeah.
Okay. The other thing we do is who choose to or being woke at night to provide cares interrupts their sleep. We also purchase and find different products that will allow them to go a little bit longer stints without being woke at night and having those intimate cares done. We always keep in mind skin integrity and those sorts of things, but we do get products that allow them to go longer periods at night in particular, so those intimate cares aren't interrupting their sleep, so they can have a longer night of rest.
Mm-hmm. We also have, for example, normally sleep in. She gets up on her own, but for some reason one day she was, extra tired. We all get wore out from time to time, and so she slept in. Well, when she woke up, she was really angry because she felt she overslept. So she requested an alarm clock, and so we did get her an alarm clock so she can wake up. Another thing is about reducing noise and then lighting. As far as in all of our neighborhoods, the lights out in the main hallway, those can all be dimmed or shut completely off at night, and they all do that and follow that. And they all do that and follow that as far as staffing, and then reducing of the noise. Just like our equipment, taking the dirty linens down or going and getting new towels, whatever it may be. We've got the baskets and the tubs that are on the wheels and go down. Sometimes we'll get really squeaky, and so we're very mindful of that. Put some WD-40 on them, but make sure those, or if they need to be repaired, then get maintenance involved, but make sure those are quiet. Just all that equipment that goes up and down the hallway all the time, that's quiet, not only at night, but during the daytime too. So we try to cleaning schedule for maintenance, cleaning of the floors and housekeeping. We've had to, that's kind of an ongoing adjustment depending on the residents and who we have in at the time, but we've had to adjust that. They used to try to vacuum, at 6 o'clock in the morning. And so we had to change that a few years ago, vacuum, at 6 o'clock in the morning. And so we had to change that a few years ago. That's not really conducive to folks who want to sleep in later. And then also, afternoon after lunch seems to be kind of a prime time for folks who want to get an afternoon nap. So we've had to adjust some cleaning schedules around that as well to make.
Quite often we replace towels and some bathroom supplies and those sorts of things and continent products. And we've kind of adjusted how that works for certain residents, so those tasks that need to be completed are not interrupting their sleep at night as well. So staff do a really good job of individualizing how we carry out those daily tasks without interrupting the sleep for them.
And then the last thing is resident bed choice. Residents can bring in their own bed if they like. We do have a policy that's on the personalization of resident rooms that does address actually the bed policy in there. There are they have to be fire retardant and UL certified, things like that, but that is optional, if they want to bring in their own bed. And then
we also, of course, have air mattresses within the facility and some specialized air mattresses. Oftentimes we give those out for skin issues, but I have quite a few folks who maybe don't find just our standard mattress comfortable. So we will offer or give those air mattresses as an option for comfort at night to help them sleep, and that's very helpful. So we do that quite often. So not only for skin integrity, but also for comfort. We also, if they choose to integrity, but also for comfort, we also, if they choose to bring that bed in, like Shelby mentioned, that's an option for them to do. Do we have any questions right now on sleep before we head on to relationships? Or anything? Oh yeah, we just have one other point. Talk about that. Some other things, just as our journey's gone on with sleep and how we handle that. We often have residents who wake during the night, and medications are sometimes not always the first option, but we do have several aromatherapies to help them relax, help induce sleep. So we have staff who do that. We offer warm packs. We certainly address any sort of pain issues, but some natural measures to help sleep occur. We also have some different teas that residents can drink, and really just soothing measures that residents can drink, and really just soothing measures. But those are some things that we also do to help our folks sleep at night if they're having difficulties.
Okay, so then back, are there any questions yet, Lacey, on sleep directly, or you may keep going?
Not on sleep yet. If you are beginning, no questions yet, but I'll keep monitoring it, and we can come back to sleep too at the end if we need to.
Okay, very good. Awesome. So then moving on, under Domain 2, Staff Empowerment, the first core is relationships. The first one is the getting small, the define physical locations, setting up your neighborhoods and making sure supplies and equipment are easily accessible. We did not do, a lot of times we get questions on like structurally, making your, redefining your building or tearing down walls or adding walls. We fortunately didn't have to do any of that. In our healthcare and skilled care, we do have 3 neighborhoods, and then we have one small kitchenette area, and then with a large living room. And then on their other neighborhood, they have their own dining room, and kitchenette, and a living room area as well too. So we are from a small community, so it's not uncommon to have folks from Sunflower neighborhood, down on Applewood neighborhood hanging out with their friends from there that they've known their whole life. So we have a lot of interaction on that. We also have some other living spaces on campus. We've got our gathering place. It's an area to sit and enjoy. There's a table down there with some chairs. There's also living room furniture down there. And we have computers down there that's up to internet for anyone to use, and also our library space. So that's another just gathering area for folks to take part in. And then supplies and equipment. Every neighborhood, they do have every neighborhood has their own supply closet, and then they also have our kitchenettes in every neighborhood. They also are fully stocked with food. And they put in orders daily on what they need, or what they've ran out of, or if residents want something new or different, they put in those requests. Our team leaders do that and work that through our dining services. Anything else on that we haven't touched on? The other part of that is consistent staffing. And I touched on that briefly earlier, but we have that Monday through Thursday crew, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We thought we had consistent staffing prior to going to fill in and shuffle around and move around. And now we definitely have consistent staffing, especially during the daytime, and then on the weekends, like the residents know, who to expect on Friday, and who's, going to be their night care and all that. So that's definitely going to be their night care and all that. So that's definitely helped us on the consistent staffing. Staff our team, same work area. We also have in our staffing, we have deemed what we call our champions. We have team leaders on each neighborhood who are kind of the go-to person. Team leaders on each neighborhood who are kind of the go-to person for questions about resident care, or the communication line there, and making sure that the different shifts are informed on what's going on. We also have life enrichment coordinators on each neighborhood who work with to do that. They also do a lot of the spontaneous things throughout the day and the week. And then we also have our memory care champions, the BBT champions, and they oversee and lead the efforts on making sure that we're, meeting the needs of those folks who have memory care, and efforts on making sure that we're, meeting the needs of those folks who have memory care and needs, and that, we're implementing our BBT program and using that appropriately, and getting staff on board. Not only does that empower staff, but having those champions on each neighborhood, they get those other folks who maybe are a little bit lagging on to energize them, get them motivated. So it comes a lot easier from them versus the DON or the administrator saying that, hey, you need to do this, you need to do this, we need to be looking at this. Like, we get those teammates together doing that, and they do that encouragement. And they have better ideas than we do anyway, so putting all their heads together, you come up with. And then there's 2 things in there that you must have, like versatile workers, no scheduled rotations, no scheduled agency, and then PRN staff are assigned to work areas. We do not use agency. Unfortunately, we've not had to use them in a really, really long time. So we still have openings, and we still have a scheduler. I think that's we still have openings, and we still have a scheduler. I think that's a consistent problem that we work do our best to make sure we get those openings filled as soon as possible, that we have the right people. We also do team interviews on that. So when we're interviewing someone, they also interview with that neighborhood team, and that neighborhood team has the final say on whether they want that person to join their team or not. What else, Bree? Anything else you want to chime in there? No. I think that that kind of on the staffing, anything we haven't answered, or anything you guys maybe we touched on, you guys want us to expand on?
Yeah, would you talk about the size of your work areas? How many residents live in each of those areas?
Okay, like in our
in each of those areas.
Okay, like in our neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
So in Healthcare Mission, we have the 3 neighborhoods. We have Applewood, Sunflower, and Heritage. Applewood is our largest neighborhood, and there's 22 residents on that one. Sunflower's 20. Go ahead, help. Yeah, Sunflower has 2. Applewood. Those folks are the ones that they share a common space as far as the living room and one of the kitchenettes. So we've got that area there, and that, like I said, that's fully stocked. And then Sunflower, they also have their own kitchenette and their own dining room, and living room space. But we have a lot of crossover as far as the residents go. Staff are, have their set neighborhoods. But a lot of the residents cross over because we're from a small community. Everybody knows everybody. They're all friends. And then our memory care neighborhood, we have 14. Everybody knows everybody. They're all friends. And then our memory care neighborhood, we have 14 residents there. That is a secure neighborhood. So they really once we, really dove in deep into the person-centered care, that was really the easiest neighborhood to start with. And they really set the example for the rest of campus as far as this is what it looks like, this is what we can do. They set the bar high when we started going, and then other neighborhoods have followed pursuit after that. So.
Mm-hmm. Good. On the sleep piece of things, we know from day to evening to nights, and your consistent staffing that you talked about with the Monday through Thursday and Friday through Sunday. How does that look different, say, at nighttime versus during the day and evening hours?
I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, Lacey.
Well, why don't you just talk about what does your night shift look like? How does that work?
Okay, as far as numbers?
Yeah.
Nutritional numbers, what? As far as the other beauty about this schedule, the Monday through Thursday and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is that we don't have the hard and fast, I would just say shifts. Like we don't have a whole group that comes in at 7 a.m. in the morning and leaves, at 6 p.m. They stagger throughout the day and the evening and night so that we have people coming in at different hours. They slowly increase, we have more staff coming in, and so we have a greater amount of staff like during the day for the peak hours, and then as night comes, they slowly start staff working with the other shifts. So hopefully, they know like exactly what's going on, and you don't have that set. When they used to do report, it was like we had 15 minutes to get report done, because this person's shifted in it and they need to get home. So it's given us a lot more flexibility on that, and I think made more conducive and more consistent care for the residents. Like things are not perfect. We still make mistakes, but hopefully we've been able to lessen some of the errors as far as care, because they're working together, for longer periods versus, you have to get this as the switch. We still make mistakes, but hopefully we've been able to lessen some of the errors as far as care, because they're working together, for longer periods versus, you have to get this done because these shifts are leaving and these shifts are coming in. So we've kind of eliminated that chaos, not only for staffing, but it also eliminates chaos for, as far as night. You want to touch on like that a little bit?
The other thing about that is those staggered timesheet I kind of mentioned, those are individualized to each neighborhood, kind of depending how and what their needs are. We have some neighborhoods where they've changed the times just based off what residents want. We have on one neighborhood, a couple residents who want their baths extremely early. So we've kind of adjusted how staff come in, so there's plenty of staff helping those residents out in their rooms, and then we can allocate staff to the shower. So not all the neighborhoods have the very same stagger either, and that's subject to change as our residents change or their needs change. As far as the nights, the overlap, we have day persons who kind of overlap into the night, and so that communication is really good because they can kind of continue to add on to what the day consisted of, or how residents' days went, or what the struggles were, or, oh, by the way, this occurred, we need to follow up on that. Our nurses have, on some neighborhoods, have an hour or two overlap, so that allows our day shift nurse to complete whatever duty she has to do, as well as they gives nurse to complete whatever duty she has to do, as well as they gives them plenty of time to communicate the nurse duties and things that need to be followed up on. Our night shift persons, the amount of staff do lessen at night than what we have during the day. We have a person to each neighborhood for the true nighttime hours. There are several people in the late evening hours. I would say from 10 to midnight, they have several staff, and at that point, some of them weed out, and that leaves a person to the neighborhood, and then there's several nurses in the building
as early as 3 o'clock in the morning. Some of that's on, what works for them personally too at home, and some of it dictates, what residents need, or when some residents, like presets start waking, or we know they're going to have certain needs at a certain time. But yeah, it does. They're going to have certain needs at a certain time. But yeah, it does lessen. But hopefully, with that more overlap, we have more.
And like I said, that
communication
changes kind of based on what our current residents need at that time. And I've been part of a lot of conversations where staff come to our day, but here's what we got going on, can we adjust? And there's a lot of flexibility. Just, we know things change, we know residents change. And so I'd say we do a very good job. We always try to accommodate staff, and if we can make sure that we have plenty of people to care for our residents, we're pretty open to care for our residents. We're pretty open to making those changes so that residents can be cared for how they'd like to be.
Yeah, and that is all staff driven. They're very good at coming to us with that.
Very good. Thanks for reading my mind a little bit on that one. Into operating more like neighborhoods. How did you decide who was a part of which work team? Like when you switched over to the neighborhoods and that new staffing scheduling model.
Right. Well, when we did it, when we switched the scheduling, and Bree can chime in here too if I say anything incorrectly, because when we switched the scheduling, staff got a choice. They got to put in their, like, I think their top 2 options. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, and what they wanted, and so we tried to accommodate those. And then what? So that was the main thing. So we tried to accommodate those the best they could on, you know, what neighborhood they wanted or what shift they want. And then what? So that was the main thing. So we tried to accommodate those the best they could on, you know, what neighborhood they wanted or what shift they wanted.
You know, and a lot of the stuff when we kind of started to roll that out, we didn't necessarily have the coined consistent scheduling, but we often had the consistent scheduling, but we often had the pretty consistent folks down there. You know, there were a few that put in requests, and like she said, we were able to accommodate most if any of those, and you know, most staff were really excited about kind of having that set schedule and weekends off, and before it just came together. The idea of it is a lot more shocking than probably how shocking the change actually was. So.
Right. I would say too, probably like before we did our new scheduling, we had more what I would call like floaters. We had several folks that really were pretty versatile, could work any neighborhood, but we've gotten away from that. Like, these folks just work, you know, this neighborhood. We also have now, like, if we have openings, those openings are open to any staff internally first, and Apple would if they want that person to join their team. And then the same thing on new hires too, like the neighborhood teams are all involved in that, and then they are the final say on if they want that person on their team or not. So.
Great. Then there was a question about the team champion. How was that put into place?
If they want that person on their team or not. So.
Great. Then there was a question about the team champion. How was that put into place?
It was really just kind of an idea we had, and it was a way to try to continue our success on that. So we identified in the beginning those folks who really, you know, who were really leading the effort on person-centered care and who we saw were doing a great job as a part of our career ladder. So they do, like I said, get a little bump in pay. We also at that time changed. We used to have like, what do we call this? Nurse managers in every neighborhood. I can't remember exactly, or unit, I can't remember exactly what we called them, but they were kind of like, you know, like unit coordinators. We don't use the word unit anymore. But we actually did some restructuring too. Our nursing leadership team, that's how Bree's position got created. And we kind of really created those positions around some key people that we had, and you know, worked that way to hit on those folks' expertise and their strengths to make for a better team. And we've been successful with it. We haven't been successful with every idea we've had, but that's the beauty of it. You know, try it, and even if you're not successful, you still learn from it. So you got to kind of figure out what works for you. But getting those champions is key because they keep the ball rolling. They encourage those, you know, and hopefully shut down those naysayers and the, you know, that are out there, because they're out there.
And I think the neighborhoods kind of model after one another. Once we had those team leaders in place, I don't want to say that there was competitiveness, but you know, once the neighborhoods kind of started to roll out fun activities and make life really great for us, then all the neighborhoods kind of started following suit because they could see how positive that was for that neighborhood. So for their neighborhood, they wanted the same. And so I would say that kind of really kept things rolling as far as how person-centered care went and how activities went and success. So
good.
We used to too, like not only in the champions, like we would do that individually, but then kind of when we started going, like if we saw a neighborhood that was really taking off and really doing some great things, we would highlight them and, you know, really set them up on a pedestal and an example of like, look, this is the things they're doing, this is how they're doing, you know, an example of like, look, this is the things they're doing, this is how they're doing, you know, if you want to learn more about that, talk to those teammates. And so that just started snowballing and following suit.
Good. And there's another question. How do you handle staffing issues when you have staff on FMLA?
That just started snowballing and following suit.
Good. And there's another question. How do you handle staffing issues when you have staff on FMLA, work comp with restrictions, call-in with working with no floaters?
And we do have FMLA. In fact, we had earlier this year, I think we had 5 aides off at once on maternity leave. Yes. The story was real for a little while. It was real. And at that time, we did have some new hires at that time. Fill in. What else have we done? If they can find their own replacement, that's usually best. And a lot of times, like, if they can switch with somebody on the weekend crew, that's the other beauty about this. Like, we have several people a week, but it's still the same staff member that always works Sunflower Neighborhood. They just don't always work, that particular day. So we have that option a lot. We do have, PRN staff, of course. And those, we try to keep those consistent. In a perfect world, they would be consistent, only consistent. In a perfect world, they would be consistent, only PRNs on Applewood. But, we have the same struggles that you guys do about staffing. You have to fill we have openings too, so you've got to fill them and do the best you can with that. But anything else you want to add on that?
I would say that when we do have PRN staff,
anything else you want to add on that?
I would say that when we do have PRN staff, even our PRN staff, I have extremely personal relationships, not only with the staff on the neighborhoods, but the residents. So, I wouldn't say that they're unfamiliar faces either. We have our PRN staff.
And a lot of our PRN staff too, like, that's a good point. A lot of our PRN staff are folks who maybe worked here full time and then have either, decided to stay home with their kids and still come in periodically, or, maybe we've got a couple that go to school now, but it's still state yard PRN. So their career, and for whatever reason have decided to go PRN. So that's, yeah.
So it kind of sounds like to maintain that consistency, you really start with trying to cover those shifts with the people who directly work there all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Work there all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Work through
it's beautiful when the staff member is like, hey, I'm not going to be in, but I already got so-and-so to cover for me. So that's what we always strive for. Of course, it doesn't always work out that beautifully, but that's what we strive for. And your good staff do that. Like, your key people, they
Thursday staff, and then the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, oftentimes they work as many hours, but however, with being that 4 days, if we're down someone on that neighborhood and it's a Friday, at least with me, oftentimes I still have my childcare. So some of those Monday through Thursday persons will pick up a Friday because that they have that time, or they are able to have arrangements for whatever they have in their own life, so they're able to pick up some of those hours too if necessary. And with a good team on each neighborhood, if necessary, and with a good team on each neighborhood, they want to help each other out. So
and they might not eat too. That's with the filtering in and the filtering out, the staggered schedules, like, they might be able to work part of their shift and then someone just come in early, for the next shift, so that one person just might.
Looks like we don't have any other questions at this point. So if you have a burning question to ask, now's the time. Otherwise, I want to thank Pine Village for presenting today. We had a few little technical difficulties this morning, but we got through it.
Yeah.
Yay. And so if you don't have any further questions and you want to get off the call, you can, but we're going to stay on and wait for questions for a little bit longer. And actually, we just got one. The question just came in. How many nurses do you have for your residents on each shift or throughout the day?
You want to touch on that?
Sure. During the day, kind of those traditional hours, we have one nurse to each neighborhood, and then about kind of varies depending per neighborhood. That covers our Sunflower neighborhood. And then we have one nurse that covers our Applewood and Heritage that she kind of talked about, that share a living space. We have one nurse cover those two neighborhoods. And then on our memory care, we have
and that's a nurse covers.
Yeah, there's pretty much one nurse for each neighborhood.
Like during your daytime hours, and then as they start shifting out, then we keep one nurse on Sunflower, and then later in the evening into the night, then Applewood and Heritage share a nurse. And then Meadowbrook always, they have a nurse too, so.
Okay, want to add before we wrap up?
I don't know. Don't be afraid to try new things. I mean, think outside the box on it. You know, like I said, even if the idea doesn't work, you still learn something from it. So that's still a success in our book. Yeah, you need to have your key people on board too. Upper management, you know, like I said, even if the idea doesn't work, you still learn something from it. So that's still a success in our book. Yeah, you need to have your key people on board too. Upper management needs to be on board with it, and you might have to ask some folks to get off the bus, and that's okay. So you might have to ask some folks to get off the bus, and that's okay. So
yeah. One of the things I know that some homes struggle with is how to break up your home into these work areas. And while Pine Village maybe had an environment that was a little bit more obvious how to divide it up, especially with some of those homes that have had to think really outside of the box, specifically on dividing up those work areas, is so we could connect you with some of those folks. Or if you have a really unique layout in your home and you're not really sure how to do it, and you'd like some help talking through that, we are happy to do that. That's what we're here for. So give us a call, email us. We can try to help you with that. And in some circumstances, we've had to get KDADs on board with it as well. So do that too. All right. Well, thanks everybody for participating in the call, and we'll go ahead and end now. So you just click end meeting, that'll get you off. And thank you very much, Pine Village.
thank you guys. Hey, Lacey, can you stay on for a minute after?
Yep.
Okay.
Judy, you can actually remove people from the call by just clicking on them. You can actually remove people from the call by just clicking on them and clicking remove, and then it'll take them off.
No.
Sorry, I'm not managing she hosted it today because my internet connection wasn't very good. So we didn't lose the call in the middle. So
Right.
that would have been really bad. There we go. Now it's just us.
Okay, cool. Hey, I just had a quick question. We received that email yesterday from KDADs about that peak advice.
She finally got an email. So Cody is wanting to develop an advisory group for peak, and so what did the email say exactly?
Well, that's why I was just trying to find it. I'll just be perfectly honest, it wasn't real clear. I was just trying to find it. I'll just be perfectly honest, it wasn't real clear.
I think she's trying to recruit people to be on it, is the stage that we're at.
Okay, it says we are seeking peak enrollees who are interested in being a part of the KDAD's Peak Advisory Team. The Peak Advisory Team on our website here must be submitted by November 30th.
Oh, okay. So they're looking for people to serve on the advisory group, and the advisory group would kind of steer any changes or updates or suggestions to improve the program.
Okay.
So, yeah. So
So was this a personal email, Vincent, or is this? It kind of looked like it was a group email.
yeah, I think it went out to everyone. And so it's going to be application based. So not everybody basically. So we would encourage you.
Do what?
We would encourage you to apply.
Okay, thanks.
You do have to attend meetings. I'm going to be on it, but from what I understand, it's going to be providers only. So there's no associations. Going to be providers only. So there's no associations or advocacy groups or things. It's providers, KDADs, and K-State. That's from my understanding, that's what Cody was going for. So
Okay. Do you know?
Understanding that's what Cody was going for. So
Okay. Do you know? Yeah. Do you know like how often we're supposed to meet, or?
I think it's going to be once a month to start with, and then we'll assess after self. We'll decide how often to meet.
What we need to do?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll look at it. Yeah. I just saw that. I was like, I don't know. Is that something we get involved with or not?
Yeah.
That means this is gonna be no more.
Yeah. Right. Cody's leading it, and so you could email her with like specific questions because she's leading the show. So so I don't know exactly her entire vision. I know I'm supposed to be at it, so I'm participating. And so I'm gonna be like a participant like everybody else as far as that goes, and she's really directing the actual organization of the meeting and stuff. So
Okay. All right. Well, I'll look into it more at the end, and if I have questions, I'll send them over to her then. So yeah, we just got it late yesterday, so I kind of wondered what this was all about.
well, I'm glad to know you got it because I knew that she was trying to move forward with it, but I didn't